All right. Hi, everyone. Um, Welcome to the first ever podcast of AI and Show. And we have with me my colleague and guest, Arnab. Arnab, welcome to the AI and Show.
Thank you, Parth.
Yeah, wonderful. So let's kick off the first episode of AI and Show. Today we are going to talk about this blog that we published, which is called Enhanced Agentic RAG, or I would now say Enhanced Agentic Genie. Uh, so, where we talk about how chatbots can deliver near human precision. And just for background for people who don't know Genie, Genies are basically internal Uber's on-call assistant co-pilot, which helps employees, users everywhere to get information from internal data sources, internal tools. So with that, let's dive straight into it, Arnab.
Yeah.
So, walk us through. And Arnab is one of our partner teams that I've worked very closely for improving Genie performance. So, Arnab, walk us through. What was the issue with the previous version of Genie, and what does the previous architecture look like?
So Genie was already in hosted through our Michelangelo platform, which is Uber's internal ML infra platform, and it already had kind of the state-of-the-art retrieval augmented generation pipeline setup already there. So it was fairly easy to kind of develop a on-call copilot, plugging your domain-specific documents to this Genie, and then you have a Slack bot ready and it can start answering questions from those documents or domain-driven data to all the engineers or anyone within Uber who is asking for these questions or queries to the domain teams, right? But with the standard RAG flow, one of the challenges that we faced when we tried Genie capability on engineering security policy related documents, that engineering security and like privacy policies, these are very niche field. And so if you look at the general purpose embeddings and their coverage, often they are not working that great. What do I mean that? By that, I mean that like their differentiation, for example, employees level one, level two data versus Uber's customers level one, level two data, which is very similar if you think of a natural language point of view, but that's very different when it comes to Uber's engineering security domain. So these are some of the challenges we started seeing, and when we kind of hand curated a set of test questions, we saw that the accuracy or the relevancy that the SMEs are looking for, it's not quite up to the mark. So that's where the this problem came into the picture, that how we can improve Genie, make it enhanced,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and this is spot on, right? I think you were one of the very close partner teams that I partnered with, and there were a few other teams that we partnered with also, and very similar observation that almost every specific team needs their own org that needs their own suite of customization and flavoring
Exactly.
to suit their needs, right? Yeah, and yeah, wonderful. So it's good that you helped us kind of describe the why the accuracy was not great. So let's maybe just walk through what are some of the kind of thinking or research or thought process on how to improve this situation, right? And how do you revamp the architecture to suit your needs?
Yeah, I think that's also the question that came into our mind when we faced this issue, right? So that's the burning question. So I think the first step what we took is like we have to set up a clear benchmarking suit, right? Because without a North Star, it's just all the experiments are going to be in jumble. We are not going to be moving forward towards a correct direction. So I think we started from there. So the first thing we did is that Michelangelo Genie already had a Genie eval, which kind of works on the production data. But even before going to production on a kind of a benchmark data set, we wanted to see like how it works, right? How is the accuracy? How is the relevance? Good thing is that for our engineering security and privacy use case, we had a hand curated set of questions which our SMEs created. We worked with the SMEs to also get the kind of the ideal answers. So it's kind of a like a in machine learning term a valid test data we have now, right? And then we can iterate over it to see like how it's working. But one of the challenges was that SME reviews take weeks, right? Like if I generate a set of questions from some enhanced system of Genie, then it will take weeks for the SMEs to come back that, okay, these are the right answers, these are wrong answers. So that's why we introduced LLM as a judge. So which is a pretty popular concept since last 5, 6 years, where people use the capability of LLM to judge whether this answer and that answer are relevant or similar. We also use that same capability here, and to see like, and then that kind of gave us kind of an automated system to iterate faster. That how fast we can introduce these components, that component, and through that we can improve the overall architecture. So I think that is one of the first operational challenge we kind of solved. And from there, I think like we also started to think like where exactly we started to do kind of a deep dive, like where exactly the problem
Yeah. Just
is.
before, even if you go into the deep dive, like I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
one, just to add context here, right, for folks who are listening us, the evaluation of a particular use case for, let's say, an on-call copilot or a Q&A bot, I mean, people might think, what's the big deal about that, right? Why can't you just evaluate? But it's not as easy as it seems, right? And
exactly.
especially like how we observed in the NSEC use case, there is so much complication with different policies overlapping, and without having an SME curated, we can call it like a golden data set to begin with, there is no way to even have some baseline to say where we are standing, right? And as you very rightly put, right,
Exactly.
to go to North Star, you need to know where you stand today. And for that also you need a lot of investment, right? So unlike
Yeah.
traditional software engineering where you get unit test out of the box and all, here you have to invest time to create that kind of setup, which is interesting because uh, even while we are almost at this point, like two plus year journey in the LLM era, this problem looks such unsolved at this point, right? And I surprisingly saw OpenAI spinning up teams now to do eval, which goes to show that this is a problem that industry is just starting to maneuver and understand that, hey, this is a quite a big problem. And one of my
Right.
ex-colleagues, Atin, and his company Galileo, they are pretty much a company just doing eval on and solving it.
Yeah.
So goes to show how big of a problem it is. So it's good that you helped us walk through like how this problem itself needs investment, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, let's dive deep into what how you kind of rethought the architecture, and what was the components look like, and how did you kind of measure that the new architecture will actually work well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So yeah, once we have a kind of a evaluation setup ready, then we started looking into more depth of the architecture, and like we kind of tried out different questions, and from that we tried to figure out where exactly the current architecture shortcomings lie. So we found few of areas of opportunities. So to start with, I think in any retrieval augmented generation pipeline, you will have a retrieval pipeline and then you will have a generation pipeline. So we kind of focused on both of them. I will start with the retrieval. So in retrieval, previously we were using PDFs as our domain documents, but those domain documents are actually were written in Google Docs. So we were using converting those in as a PDF format and then connecting it with Genie. But we realized soon that PDFs are for prints, right? Their printable format. Extracting different components from there is possible, obviously, but probably more investment. If you have a possibility of having those documents in HTML ready version, which Google Docs is, then it's easier to extract, especially like if you have complex like formatting, like for example, nested bullets, nested tables, things like that, which we had a lot in engineering security policies, because you can think of like for a company like Uber, the engineering security policies are pretty strict. They have so many exceptions because there are so many countries our product is running. So we have pretty complex formatting. So for which we found that okay, probably that's one space we can invest in. So we moved from PDF to Google Docs. And also then once we are extracting different components from Google Docs, we also again use the power of LLM to kind of enhance those, like clean the context that we have retrieved, make them more sensible, use more kind of a metadata, add metadata in front or after the particular chunk. And we also ensured that with some domain-driven logic that we are never chunking the tables in between, because we saw that sometimes many of the questions are answered incorrectly because the tables are chunked in two separate chunks. So some of these sort of document enhancements we used, and also we used kind of a LLM powered enhancement, and we call it kind of a enriched Google document agent, which is now integrated with Genie, which is like straightforward, and anyone within Uber can, even other than engineering security, can start using the benefits of it if they want to. So that's kind of one part. I before moving to second, I would like part talk about it if there is anything you want to add to this.
Yeah. No, yeah, and it's so nicely put here that a lot of these data sources that we had before in the ecosystem, right? The PDFs and all, which we thought was a good start to get something going. But I think that's the realization also that we need to fine tune or like customize again per use case what they need. In your use case, it was really found out that yeah, Google Docs was the way to go. And
Yeah,
then also it's not like the standard integration just works. Need so much more details thought out through to really make sure that we can tap onto the exact details that is there in the document, because the
exactly.
plugins that Llama Index and all of them they offer, they are good, but they're not enough, how we
Yeah,
found out in our use case. So it's a good realization that I think people might feel like, hey, you have all the ecosystem, open source ecosystem ready. Why you need all of this investment? But as Arnab is describing, that this investment really helps go capture these intricacies in the document that the Llama Index, open source plugins will not be able to out of the box. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, we talked about generation. Let's maybe go also into retrieval then. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so this was like the improvement on like how we can extract the contents and then probably put into the vector store. For embeddings, we have not invested quite a bit because these are natural languages. So we have used kind of our one of the OpenAI embeddings for this. And then once we move to the like the vector store is ready, once we move to the generation part where the user query is coming, there also we saw some bit of improvement that we can make. As I started talking about like the intricacies of engineering security policies, if someone asks questions like, hey, I have this data, is this L3 data, right? So you will see this question has so less context attached to it because these are engineers who are working on delivering products and features, and they just want to know like whether this is allowed versus this is not allowed, this data has access, not access, things like that, right? So that's where engineering security policies comes in. So how do we then allow the LLM, which is generating the answer with the correct context? Because this L3 data can also be fall into employees L3 data versus customers L3 data, earners data, non-earners data. So there are so much domain complications which a simple semantic search or a like open source embedding model will not be able to differentiate between these kind of intricacies. So that's why we kind of again brought kind of domain driven agents. So what we did is that based on the query, we'll first try to optimize the query, try to see again using some power of LLM whether we can make the query more defined, more polished, easier to understand for the generating LLM. And also we took one step further. We tried to kind of classify which of the, like if we have 40 plus 45 plus policy documents, what are the top two or three documents from which we can answer the query just by looking at the query. So it's similar to intent classification, but here we are trying to do kind of document and domain classification such that we narrow down our semantic search only on those documents, such that that complicacy of like employee data versus non-earner data is kind of closed at the beginning of the query, and then it goes through the semantic search and we also added some sort of post processing. So if you look at the entire architecture from a high level, it looks like it will be like small agents doing their part, and then eventually everything the generator LLM has more context about, more clean context that it's getting, and that's how it started producing much more relevant and clear and correct answers.
Yeah, that's so wonderful, right? Like how you're helping us emphasize like the agents now they've become like you can say experts in what they do, right? And you have small
Exactly.
agents doing small tasks rather than one agent trying to do 50 things, right? And that's
Exactly.
nice way to kind of clean the architecture, have SME agents, if that's the right word.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that's a good way to put it.
yeah, yeah, and there's also, one of the experiments I had done before, we were working together, was I had ingested all, let's say, Uber internal wikis into one domain, and
Hmm.
I found out the retrieval was so poor. You just if you search for something internal, you would, get something very non-relevant, and that goes to
Okay.
show that even if you have all data ingested, that
Yeah,
doesn't really help you. You need to really drill down and figure out what is very relevant for the incoming question. And I
exactly.
think what your pattern that you help describe is really spot on, that for every domain we need to know, for every sub question itself we need to know what kind of filtered documents we need to look at, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice. So what else did we have to do to kind of make the architecture complete here?
Yeah, I think like the rest part was obviously like these are domain driven kind of agents, and then finally our orchestration, which is kind of ties these together, and then finally I think that's the biggest part of working with Genie is that it already had all the kind of like integration in place. Like we didn't have to do like the Slack integration or anything else, or like putting the document links out there. We didn't have to invest any of those engineering part of it. It's mostly like the agents we kind of developed, we experimented with different things, and we looked at that LLM as judge eval, which is kind of gave us the confidence that okay, we are going towards the right direction. And then finally, once we have the agents, we kind of plugged it in with the Genie, and then we have a enhanced Genie as part. You put it correctly, very seamlessly. And also Genie provided us like we can turn off, turn on some of these capabilities through a configurable manner. We can turn on these things for a particular domain like NSEC. So all those things are already in place. So I would say like once we have discovered what are the components that we need to like develop and integrate with or experiment with, the rest was pretty smooth. And finally, we kind of saw that the bad answer rate or non-relevant answer rate that on our test data, golden test data, it kind of reduced by 50%. So like SMEs were very happy because previously they were a little concerned with bad answers because then you are giving our engineers outside of engineering security wrong advices, which may create even one incident probably later
Yes.
in the down in the line, right? So
Yes.
that's where I think the biggest win came into the picture with this work, and also the relevancy and accuracy, all numbers were kind of going up. So yeah, we were pretty happy with this work.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, the not only the accuracy has gone up, you're also saving work on SMEs now with the eval framework that
Exactly.
we talked about, right? So SMEs don't have to again and again judge the answer. You have an automated way to know whether the new architecture improvements is going in the right direction or not, which is good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. So, where do we like, let's discuss about like, where do we see the state of the art moving towards, right? Like now with MCP servers in the picture and now agents like OpenAI released the standard, they
Yep.
become, made the agent a standard part of their product itself.
Yes.
So agents is becoming standard, MCP servers is all there. How do we see like the state of the art evolving? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think we were at the right direction, I would say, definitely. So that's how the industry is moving, and it's going to move. I think it's just scratching the surface right now. It's going to be more investment there, and we are going to see many breakthroughs. This particular domain is going to go through multiple changes. But from a scientist point of view, I still think that the core concept is going to be same. The importance of eval, the importance of golden set, test set data, or importance of where exactly the shortcomings is, that's never going to change. All these agents, and they are going to be allow, like all these agentic frameworks and all the agentic eval, they are going to allow us to like build some things that we have never imagined of, right? Like putting all the context to the LLM, and LLMs are also getting more and more intelligent. But with that, we also still have to, for the domain specific task, we still have to be thinking like, how do we define accuracy? How do you think like, okay, we are moving towards a correct direction or a positive direction, and we have a problem to solve, and instead of just we have a solution and we don't know exactly which problem we are solving. So I think that core question will still remain just like that, but it's just the way we are going to solve it is going to be more LLM driven, more agentic, the way we are seeing it right now. And also some bit of it we have done in this blog.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. The agentic Genie is really the way forward, and I anticipate that, and with MCP servers coming, you'll have all internal services for a company that you can hook up to now. So
Exactly.
LLM has access to everything pretty much inside the company, and that's definitely the trend as well. So it's exciting to see where we are, and I mean,
Yes.
at least I feel like, as you put the information spot on here, that we still need those eval and analysis to know how do you solve different problems, because the tooling might be there, but if you don't know what your customers need or what your pain points are, you still might not be able to get much, right? So that time investment is needed to know what customers are asking from you and how do you solve each kind of problem areas. No, so it's very nicely put, Arnab. Yeah, so I think
Exactly.
overall we are trending towards agentic Genie, and it's
Yeah.
exciting times, and looks like we put our bets in the right direction. So
Yes.
it's good, exciting to see what the industry comes up with, and how we evolve as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Yeah. It was
So
a amazing collaboration with you, your
yes,
team part.
yes.
So yeah, looking forward to more.
Yeah, likewise, likewise. I think it's one of those early, you can say, pivots we made, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of other people are also following inside now. So it's nice to see this pivot, coming in the right direction and giving us the right gains and all of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, wonderful. So thank you, Arnab, for being on the show, and thank you everyone for listening us. It's our first show of the AIN show, so keep us, in the picture, and we'll come up with more exciting topics. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you, everyone.